right, welcome to the weekly meeting. Today is Saturday, December 6th. I have gone through to see which pairs or assets um, um, are probably going to move at some point this week. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, CAD JPY, if we look at the bigger picture, we're in a bearish structure. So, with that being said, that being said, um, price has tapped the 78. I think it almost tapped the 88. I think it did tap the 88. However, if I'm looking at weekly structure, um, this is our break of structure. This is our swing low. And this, of course, is our swing high. So internal structure has been um, shifted. We have this internal structure here that has been shifted. And so it looks like price is likely going back up to this supply zone to then possibly sell back down to this low. So with that being said, we have this weekly let me zoom in. So we have a break of this weekly high and this high. So I'm just going to mark up this here. Okay. So let's go to the daily because we had a break of structure, looking for price to pull back and continue buying. Now, will it pull back all the way to this demand zone? Not sure, but we still had the break, so we still should be looking for buys. And hopefully it'll pull back to this zone to continue buying. That is what I see for CAD JPY. And again, we are looking to buy up to that supply zone. All right, Euro JPY. For the weekly, we had this was the high. Well, let me look at the bigger picture first. The bigger picture is we had this break of structure here, structure, and then price came and shifted to bullish structure. So we had this break of structure here, and now we have this weekly, we're in this weekly structure here. So with that being said, based on the weekly, we have this swing high here, and we have this demand zone here. So price could sell back into this zone and continue buying. Let's go to the daily. We have this break of structure, so definitely looking at price to pull back somewhere into this daily demand zone for a continuation of a buy. I don't see a shift or anything right now. It's just consolidating. So um, I don't see where there's a shift to sell back down, but I probably would just wait for the buy to buy back up. Yeah, it's just consolidating right now. So next we have Euro NZD. Let's look at the big picture. The big picture is we're in bearish structure. We're looking for price to pull back up to 78 or 88. This is our current higher time frame structure from here to where it currently is. Um, we had this break of internal structure. So, and then price came up. Let's go to the daily. You had a break of structure here, and then there is a market structure shift here. So with the market structure shift, I would be looking, and let me pull this up here. If with the market structure shift, I would be looking for price to pull back into this supply zone to then sell back down um, to then sell back down into this structure. Oops, into this structure here, from here to here to here. Or let me just go little by little to sell into this demand zone here. So if we're talking, if price pulls back up, we're talking approximately 500, 600 pips for the sell. Or it may even pull back down to the 50%. Remember, because we're in this structure, the discount zone is anywhere between the 50%, 60%, 78, 88. So price could pull back and sell back down to the zone, pull back. But this is where I would like to see price sell back to, but I have to trade it zone by zone. And right now, we're in this structure or this, we're in a couple of structures. So we have market structure is here, here, here. Okay. So, and then there was a little break of this high here. So we had a shift of this structure. Again, I would be looking for price to pull back and sell at least down to these lows, maybe even this low, but that's the demand zone that I would be looking for price to sell down to. Any questions? Nope. All right. So if I'm looking at the bigger picture, we're currently in this bearish structure. Okay. We're currently in that bearish structure. There's currently a weekly supply zone here. So we're looking to at least buy up to this zone right here for now. So in that case, we're in this bullish structure. All right. Price has, and let's go down to the daily and let me mark up. So since we're in this bullish structure, let me mark up the demand zone. So, all right. So now in on the daily, We've had this structure here, price pull back and then broke above this high. Um, so we're looking for price to sell back down to this zone. I think it was a 4-hour demand. Okay. So with that being said, I'm looking at where we are in the current bearish structure of this pullback. This is the bearish structure of that pullback. So I would be looking for price to pull back into this 4-hour supply zone to start selling back down to this demand zone. Um, of course, I would like to see a shift in structure. Let me see how many pips was that. It's 40, it's a 40 pip stop loss. So I would probably set a limit um for price to tap into this zone. Or you can wait for price to tap into the zone, shift, and then set your limit to sell back down. As long as it doesn't close up, well, if it closes above the high, it's still going to, as long as it don't close above the high. Let me just say that. I would be looking for price to pull back into this zone to sell because we're in this bear structure. All right. Any questions on Euro USD? All right. GA. GA, let's look at the bigger picture. Um, we're currently still in this bearish structure. We're going bullish. So, we have this weekly breakup structure, which I would be expecting price to sell back into this zone here. Once I go down to my daily, there is let me delete this. We're in this bearish structure. Okay. So, and price has created a level of support right here. So um, price could sell back into this zone to buy up. I think there was a 4-hour or 1 hour, yeah, the demand zone, demand area right here. So I would expect price to come back into this zone as another level of support. If I see a shift in structure, I would be looking to buy back up to this supply zone. Remember, it'll be a buy up to then possibly sell back down to this zone. So that's what I would be looking for. Of course, if price breaks below this low, so you're either looking for price to come here, shift structure to then buy back up, or you're looking for price to close below the low, pull back to some sort of maybe this um, key level to then sell back down to this demand zone and then possibly buy back up to these highs. Any questions? So this is one I'm looking at for this week. GJ, let's look at the big picture. Big picture is telling me that we are in the bearish structure. We are currently in this bearish structure here. Overall, it's bearish, right? We're currently in this bearish structure here. I am going to mark up this weekly supply zone. Okay. So I am looking for price to buy up to this zone. And based on last week, um, so we have this internal high that we are looking to um, currently buy up to. You may get a little pullback, but I would still be looking for buys up into the supply zone before I look for um, a deeper sell. Last week, let's see, we had a sweep of last week. Let's go down to the daily. On the daily, we're still in this internal structure. Okay. So as of right now, we're still in this bullish demand zone or zone. So I would be looking for price to continue buying up to 208 and then um, showing what it wants to do. So based on the 4 hour, we're still in this structure. And it's looking like it's probably going to consolidate, might consolidate for a little bit before it continues buying. But as of right now, it's still bullish. Let's see what the daily gave. Yeah, it's still bullish to me. Um, any questions on GJ? All right. GU. Let's look at the bigger picture. GU. We're currently in this bearish structure here. Okay. So let's zoom in. And we are currently looking at this supply zone here for price to buy back up into. With that being said, we're currently in this bullish structure. So if we go down to our daily, you can see within this structure, and let me just make sure we know what structure we're in. Within this structure, we have this market structure shift. Okay. Price pulled back to the supply zone and sold off. Okay. So now we have this breakup structure. So now we have this supply zone for price to possibly pull back into. Um, but there are other supply zones, right? So if we're in this internal structure here, there are a couple of zones price can pull back to. Price can pull back to this zone and start selling, or come to this zone, pull back, push back up into here before selling. So, um, so once price gets into the zone, then that's when I would look to see what price is doing within the structure. If it comes into this zone, and shift structure, then I would be looking to sell it back down to this low. If it doesn't shift structure, then it's likely going to buy back up to here, shift, and then sell because now in this, we're in this internal bearish structure in this overall higher time frame bearish structure. Any questions? So with that being said, the like I said, it's buying up. You have this current demand zone here. Let's mark down the 4-hour structure. So this could be pulling back into this zone before it buys up, or it's going to create new structure and then possibly shift. And then in that case, I would delete that. Any questions on GU? Nope. Okay. Um, for NASDAQ, we are at a strong key level, which is here. I just narrowed it down as I went down in time frame. Um, we're currently approaching a daily supply zone. We have a daily bullish order block. So this was our break of structure. This was our swing high. This was our swing low. As I go down in time frame, um, I think it was a 15 minute, or it might have been a 5 minute. The lowest, the 5 minute demand zone. So for me, since I've been trading NASDAQ just a little bit, I would be looking to buy NASDAQ from this zone, either to this high or up into this supply zone. That's what I see for NASDAQ. US 30, um, I think was almost about the same. Um, you had this demand zone here. Price came, tapped into it. Let's go to the 4-hour. So for me, we had this daily break of structure here. And then we had a shift in structure here, which then made this a supply zone. Okay, so let's go to the 4-hour. So I would be looking for price to buy back up into this zone. Um, as you can see, it broke. It came back and retested and is giving levels of support. So I would be looking for price to continue buying up and oops. I would be looking for price to continue buying up into this zone here to either break this high or respect the supply zone, respect this market structure shift to then start selling back down to this demand zone. or maybe even lower. So that is what I see for US 30. And for gold, um, we're currently at this key level for gold. Um, price pulled back a little and is buying back up into this zone. So I am looking for price hasn't shifted any structure yet, so I'm still looking for price to continue buying back up into this zone. Um, we currently have this structure that has been created. So I'm looking for price to either continue buying into the zone, to either shift structure somewhere up in here and then sell back down to this possible demand zone, to either continue buying or um, to either continue buying or shift structure for another sell. I'm thinking it's going to start selling, but this is a strong key level right here. So I'm actually expecting a sell. If I go to the 15-minute, yeah, little shift, 15-minute shift in structure. Blah, 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 blah. You had a 15-minute shift in structure. Okay. And then there was a 15-minute supply zone that price pulled back into and sold off. Okay. Pulled back into and sold off. All right. So with that being said, um, you have this shift in structure. So now you have a new supply zone. So that is what I would like to see it come back down to here first, but um this is gold. So um I see a key level here. So price could pull back and then push back down to this zone. We're still within this structure here. So it could just pull back to this sell to sell back down to this key level and then start buying back up. But there was a market structure shift. It pulled back to the supply zone. It sold off, shifted structure. So I would be looking for a pullback to continue selling. That's my thoughts on gold. Anything else? Any questions? Oh, wait a minute. Do I have questions? Um, Euro NCD. Let's see. Euro NCD. Oh, wait a minute. I did Euro NCD. Um, Terry, you got the same for GN? I must be doing something right. Must be doing something right.
When you did in, I had to.
Oh, you had the same for, okay. Gotcha, gotcha. Let's see. UJ, um, USDJPY. Let's always look at the bigger picture. So, okay, so we're still bullish in this. Um, so it looks like price came and tapped into the it looks like price came and tapped into this little supply zone here. And then it looked like it shifted structure here. So this supply zone is marked up. So if I go to the daily, it's still within this bullish structure. So I would be looking for price to pull back somewhere into this demand zone, or it may even just tap into this. It's currently in this demand zone. Um, so you could start getting a buy to the upside. But I would be looking for it to come back here to then start buying back up. If it shifts the structure, then I would be looking for um, this demand zone here. So if you're trying to get in for the week, we're in structure here, 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 and here. Okay, price did close below this low. So now this is your zone for a sell. So I would be looking for a price to pull back into this zone to continue selling to the downside. Or at least sell back to this low. I don't know how many pips is that. At least 100 pips. So let's narrow that down. The last, maybe it'll come up here. So yeah, at least 150 pips. So I would definitely look for price to pull back into the zone before selling. And I would not look to buy it because that's ugly. Um, and that's all I have. Any questions on that? Oops. Any questions?
No, thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. Anybody want to look at anything else before we end the call today?
Yes, could you please check out silver euro, please? Thank you.
G. Let's see. Let's look at the bigger picture for the week. So price has closed above previous week. We're in this structure here. We have this break of structure, this swing low, this swing high. Okay. We currently have this demand zone. However, let's go to the daily. Um, I like the deepest pullback possible. So go to the 4 hour. It's kind of just consolidating here. So I would not mess with it until, yep, it didn't break this low. So yeah, I would not, I would either wait for price to, it's got to give me some kind of structure. Um, so I would break for price to either break this high, and then you'll have a new demand zone if it breaks this high. So then this will be your new demand zone. Um, because it's consolidating, I just would not do anything unless are you in it already, Alfie?
I'm looking for a buy entry. I wanted to pull back and then 'cause I think it's going to continue bullish.
Yeah, it's looking very bullish. I would say um if it were going to pull, I would want to see it pull back at least to here because this is a key level of support of resistance here, here, here. Um, so I would love like I would want to see it pull back to here first before getting in a buy. I think it's too high to buy at this point.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then of course, if it pulled back here and had didn't shift structure, then it's likely going to pull back to this demand zone to then buy it. Hmm. So, um, yep, that's what I would be looking for. Let's go to the daily right quick. Now, if you're a Toddster would say price swept this high. There were a few sweeps, but I still don't see a shift in structure yet. Um, Price swept this high and pulled back, so likely the pullback is happening. But because I'm still seeing bullish structure, um, I would just wait for the buy versus the sell.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Now, I will say this, if it breaks this, because based on the 1 hour, this is the structure we're in, right? So I would say if it closed below here, then I would be looking for price to pull back and start selling. Because then it would have shifted this 1 hour structure. internal 1 hour structure. And 1 hour structure says that this is the demand zone. Yeah, I would wait for it to pull back here. I would wait. And what I'm saying is price broke this high on the 1 hour, but not the 4 hour, the daily, or any other high time zone. But on the 1 hour, this would be the demand zone. So maybe you can buy it and sell it back down to there. I don't know. But yeah, that would, I mean, that's just how I see it. If it broke this, I would look for the supply to then sell back here or even to this low right here and see what happens. Or hold it until it gets here. Trail it. That's what I would say. Trail it. Yep, that's all I got. Anything else anybody want to look at? Going once, going twice. Okay, gone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Mhm.
you, Kim.
Have a good one.